power to veto proposals from an American company, Beale Aerospace, which wants to take over the island of Sombrero, part of the British dependent territory of Anguilla. It wants to use it to launch satellites by rocket into space. But as our environment correspondent Robert Piggott reports, ornithologists say the rocket station could spell the end for seabirds nesting there.
Sombrero Island, 95 acres of arid limestone 34 miles from the nearest land, is the site chosen for the world's next rocket station. Just 40 feet high, the island is open to storms. The last lighthouse was destroyed in a hurricane. Sombrero is home to thousands of migrating seabirds. Brown and masked boobies are nesting now. At other times, there are species of tern, noddy, frigate and tropic birds.
Sombrero is probably the most important seabird breeding island in the entire region. Seabirds need solitude to breed, and they need islands that are free of predators and free usually of too much vegetation. And this site is perfect.
Phosphate mining drastically reduced Sombrero's bird population in the 19th century. They eventually recovered, but ornithologists say a rocket station could wipe them out. If rockets come to Sombrero, this is where they'll blast off, and the island may not have long to wait. Beale Aerospace would like to complete the site by the year 2000. When the airstrip, launch pad, buildings and harbour are complete, the island will be barely recognisable, and many of its seabird nesting sites will have gone forever. Many seabirds breed in the place they were born. Conservationists say birds will return to Sombrero, but fail to raise their young. They claim that even the Sombrero black could be at risk. The lizard is found only on the island. The dangers to Sombrero's wildlife have been assessed by a firm of environmental consultants. The British government is now studying their report. The governor of Anguilla says the threat to seabirds is clear.
That problem is real. It won't go away. Damage is inevitable, and I don't think they shy away from saying that. What they're saying is that it is possible to mitigate it to a degree, and that the damage is not perhaps as total as potential damage is not as total as people thought.
In Texas, Beale Aerospace have been testing their rocket. When loaded with hydrogen peroxide and kerosene fuel, the 200-foot-tall rocket will weigh 1,000 tons and carry satellites into outer space. It's a business worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The company questions whether seabirds should stand in the way.
You could go down and stop building every house in the Caribbean region, and that would probably help the birds. You could tell us we can't use Sombrero Island, and it would probably help the birds. But is that what we really want to do for the nation of Anguilla and as a world?
Beale Aerospace will buy land in the Caribbean the same size as Sombrero and try to recreate the breeding conditions found there. The company is prepared to pay only $250,000 a year to lease the island. They say the real benefits to Anguilla will come with increased tourism and employment. The government of Anguilla is ready to accept the deal. It's banking on Sombrero, bringing it greater benefit as a rocket station than it ever could as a bird sanctuary. Robert Piggott, BBC News, Sombrero Island in the Caribbean.
The government's playing down rumours of a split between Britain and Germany over the levels of tax.
Ian Stewart Hodgson, 57,445.
A double bonus for the Nationalists, an increased majority, with Labour, their bitter rivals, pushed into third place. The Liberal Democrats, fourth, but they insist still in touch. The Tories, a slight revival after their general election collapse.
The tide has turned. We've shown that we were up and fighting fit, and we've fought back.
So what went wrong for Labour, who held this seat until 4 years ago? First, no inroads into the rural areas of this vast constituency, contending with the current problems in farming. But perhaps also mid-term economic blues among Labour's city support, as borne out on the streets of Aberdeen tonight.
Folk are feeling a bit disenchanted with Labour because they haven't fulfilled their promise, perhaps.
Well, look, if it's happened, like, to the country since Labour's went into power, it's not really been the best.
I think things have improved a lot, like daycare, like for working parents and things like that.
And there were question marks too over the Labour candidate, who was caught out over inaccurate claims that she had been born in the constituency. but she denied there were wider implications.
Because of the disappointing turnout, I don't see what we can draw from this. 4 in 5 people have sadly stayed at home.
Hey folks, this is the man that you want to see.
Momentum matters in politics, and so tonight the new Euro MP returned to his Aberdeen HQ to talk tactics with potential candidates for next year's elections to the new Scottish Parliament.
It's a complete disaster for Labour to find themselves in the position of managing to come third in what they billed as a two-horse race.
A note of caution: this was a European by-election with a low turnout. The impact is perhaps more psychological than political, a morale booster for the SNP and, incidentally, the Tories. For Labour, tonight, further confirmation, if it were needed, that the party faces a stiff contest in next May's Scottish parliamentary elections. Brian Taylor, BBC News, Aberdeen.
Tennis. In the Battle of the Two Britons, Greg Rosetsky took just over an hour to defeat Tim Henman 6-2, 6-4.